Jordan, could you please go over the current state of video game journalism? It has been hard to find real grounded info. Unfortunately, that's almost all journalism nowadays, especially online media. With the current upheaval, you can call it, within the video game community, with hashtag wars back and forth and skewed, biased coverage from different websites and agendas being pushed. I'm remiss to say it, but that's a reflection of our society and what the media has become in general, where you do have sociological, you do have political agendas within journalistic media, websites, newspapers to a degree. And that, to me, unfortunately, that's not what the media's role is. That's not what journalism is. Journalism is supposed to go out, report the facts, find the facts, and report them in the most unbiased way you can. Now you can go decide on what to report based upon a bias, and that's what's called editorial, bias, is, running stories that might, be skewed towards your audience. But that doesn't mean the reporting itself can be biased or skewed. That's two entirely different things. You can decide, okay, we're gonna run stuff on this issue A. That's fine. If you think reporting on that issue A will influence your readers in some way, but then while you go and research issue A and write it, you then skew it totally out of balance and misrepresent it. That's not journalism anymore. That's propaganda. And the bad thing about seeing this happen with games, one side or the other, is that the same thing happens with the more important issues like politics and socio-cultural issues, and where it's always one side versus the other. It becomes this weird culture war, even in the articles themselves, not just the skewing of the website or magazine or newspaper you're reading. You're seeing it inside the articles. And at that point, it's not a news item anymore. It's an editorial piece. And unfortunately, again, that's what the majority of reporting has become, has been glorified editorials masquerading as news when they are not news. Now, how do we get away from that? Whether it's gaming or anything else. I always said that we need a Consumer Reports for games. Now, Consumer Reports is a very heralded consumer advocacy magazine where they take and accept no advertising dollars. It is not funded by advertising dollars. It's funded by the subscriptions, and there could be a subsidy somewhere. But the point is that no ads appear in it. So what you get then is you get unbridled, totally objective reviews of cars and vacuum cleaners and, anything a consumer want to buy, dishwasher, with the expectation that since there was no money taken, what you're getting out is no fear of reprisal for saying something's good or bad or neutral. And that's why people always went to Consumer Reports to trust that. Can that happen with games? I don't know. Just because so many gaming websites rely, and this is where I wish Ian was here because he'd have better examples than me. They rely on ad revenue, and then there has been reprisals of game companies and publishers being upset about websites not giving a good enough review for the game that they gave them early to play through. So they can then say, well, screw you. Screw you, IGN. You didn't give a good review to Call of Duty 45. You're not going to get an early copy of Call of Duty 46. So then you're going to suffer because all these other websites that did give us a good review, they're going to get it early. They're going to get all those viewers that are not going to come to your site because they're going to go to those. So it becomes this sort of shitty homeostasis of we all have to sell out or else we're going to lose. You know what I mean? Like, no, if the one person, the one website that would take an ethical stance would be the one that would lose horribly. You would never see them again because of that. And that's where you're at with video game quote-unquote journalism. I really put that in quotes because, again, journalism is impartial reporting. I cannot stress that enough. It's impartial reporting, and it's letting the person reading, gathering all the facts together, displaying all the facts, and even what the subjective view of those facts could be, to those different groups and letting them decide, and then letting them decide where they fall on any side of any spectrum and on the news. That to me is what journalism is, and that's where game journalism is heading the opposite of. Or as Ian would probably say, it's been a joke forever, it's going to continue to be a joke, which is fine, but that to me is just sadness, letting you know that when you go to a website like Kotaku, which is basically like a rag anyway, it's yellow journalism. It's just clickbait articles and then entertainment. These are entertainment websites. They're video game entertainment sites. They're not journalism. So, which is sad again, because then that means you cannot take their news seriously or their opinion seriously. And why would you, honestly?